Happy Championship Week, Saturday, whatever day you want to call it. It's the CEA StarCraft 2. I guess we'll call it the Grand Finals, the Championship Day. It's the final week of the season. It's been a round robin. Yeah, sure. We already have a victor. Luna's already there. But we are covering Bill Power Underwhelming versus Google Alpha Stars. The Google Alpha Stars sitting there, actually with a map penalty as things get started. So they're going to have to win 4 out of 5 if they want that to happen. But we got to introduce the guy I'm working with, Titan on Fire. It's been a minute. How you doing?
It has been a while. I have been busy. I am finishing up my undergraduate at college, which is wonderful. It means I haven't been able to cast, but now that it's almost done, I'm back. And you guys won't be able to escape me.
How dare you, focus on school. Do those things. That's kind of unacceptable. It's not okay. But we do have maps, by the way, keeping you all up to date. The first 2 maps. So there are 5 maps here. They're all predetermined. 4 of them, the first 4 can be swapped out, and just by happenstance, the first 2 maps have been swapped out. So map 1 was swapped by Alpha Stars. Map 2 by Power Underwhelming. Then we're going from there. So map 1 will be Frost Line. Technically, that's map 1. But we're going to play map 2 before map 1, just due to some scheduling things. So that'll be Amygdala. That's Power Underwhelming's map pick. And it's going to be, it looks like, ZVP Alkin versus the Captain in Buckwheat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be really fun. I think ZVP especially, it's been a while, but I've been trying to keep up with some of the Pro League, and we've seen some really interesting Protoss builds come out, especially with the new patches that have updated stuff and made some of it a little bit nicer to play for the Protoss. And if you're looking at, obviously at a professional level, you have Hero, who's just kind of just dominating in the Protoss meta. But I'm really excited for what we see out of this match. Now, you mentioned obviously this is not the battle for first place. That's already been won by Alexa 12 pool. But the really important thing about this match is that it is very vital for placement. And obviously in this charity tournament, not all the money goes to first place. It's actually split 60% to first place, 30% to second, and 10% to third. What this means is for Google Alpha Stars, they're currently tied for second. So a win here would be absolutely massive for them getting that second place and getting $432 going to their charity of choice, which is Child's Play. Where for Power Underwhelming, they're actually in a 3-way tie for 4th place, and potentially a win here could make some weird stuff happen where you have some tiebreakers there for 3rd to get that money for their charity of choice, which is the Trevor Project. So this is actually a really important match, all things considered.
Yeah, and it's great. We're in a 3-way tie. It's listed as 3-way tie for 3rd. Yeah, it would be for 4th technically. Instead, we're gonna just catapult ourselves into a massive cluster of a tie for 2nd place. If we win here today, because Alpha Stars would then be 5-3, Power Underwhelming would be 5-3, and there's a world where the Blue Flame Hellions and maybe at least 1, maybe 2 of Power or of Blue Flame Hellions and RIT Orange also put themselves up in 2nd place, and then it goes down to tiebreakers, who head-to-head wins. There's a whole path down that is a lot more math than I'm willing to do on a Saturday. But we are getting ready to go. Players are saying they're ready to go. You said something about a PVZ. That was a lie, Titan on Fire. You lying liar, you. It's going to be a TVZ. Zhao Zhao versus Buckwheat. So, you know what? That makes me happy as a Zerg player. I've been very sad about what they've done to Protoss in the most recent balance patch. Why do we have to have really good pro Zergs so the rest of us get nerfed off the ladder? It makes me very sad. Not happy.
The curse. You guys have Serral. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's back in the day, it was just play like Maru, right? For Terran players, don't worry, Terran's not underpowered, just play like Maru. And now it's no, actually, we're gonna have to remake here. Oh. It's no, actually, Serral, it's overpowered, so we're gonna nerf it, so you have to play like Serral. It's the old story was, well, there's one player that's doing it and no one else is, so just play like him. Actually, no, we need to buff it. Now we're going the other way around.
Yeah, I feel bad for you guys. As a Terran player, we always get the good. I mean, we did get Ghost nerfed finally, which I'm fine with. You know what? I'll take that considering how long Terran has been good. We've been eating well for way too long.
I mean, yeah, you know, when Clem 5-0s Cyril, and equally as important as we just had the wrong players. Sorry, it's going to be Psionic versus Zhao Zhao. So a TVT. Looks like that's going to be the setup there.
We're back.
But it's like, you know, when Clem 5-0s Cyril in the most important tournament of the year, that is, I'm not saying there's bias. I'm not saying there's balance issues there, but I'm just saying it is wild to see Cyril tap out when he has over 10,000 resources in the bank, which happened last year. So just play like Clem. Just play like the top player, and if you don't, it is a moral failing.
You should always strive to just play like the best person that you can. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's no reason why anyone shouldn't. It's just pressing buttons, right?
So I strive to play like Titan on Fire.
You'd have a big loss streak if you tried to play like me right now. You were just talking before. I have mild carpal tunnel that has developed from me having an art major and drawing so much. So, you know, if anyone wants to play like me, just you know, do art until your wrist explodes, and then you'll be great.
Luckily for me, I am very bad at drawing even stick figures, so I am safe from pulling cards, card to pull and tunnels and all of these wonderful things. What we are not safe from is finally a game getting started. It's going to be Psionic versus Zhao Zhao. It's going to be a TVP as we start what is technically a map 2, but we're going to play it first, and away we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala, playing for Google Alpha Stars, he is your light blue Terran. His name is Zhao Zhao.
Also Carnegie Mellon. There we go. And in the upper right, in the purple, he's playing for Bill. Power underwhelming. I don't know. Maybe a little expensive there, but anyways, he is Psionic. I should have workshopped that one better, Titan. I should have considered my sadness before I inflicted it upon the watching eyes of the world, but, you know.
It's, you know, that's what this is for. You know, the first few games, you figure it out, you get into the flow, and then you workshop some things, and then you figure out what really works. But this is exciting. So we have a TVP here, actually. You're also a liar, Bayo. It's a TVP. So nothing that we said originally.
It's fun. It's actually kind of interesting. We're talking about the new balance patch, which is, I guess, 3 months old at this point, so maybe it's not that new. But it's around that time that Clem started playing Protoss against Terrans, because he's like, I think PvT's good, and I don't want to play TVT. So it's funny. Obviously the pro level meta is not necessarily even the high level meta. Things change. For the longest time, it was like, wow, you know, disruptors aren't that great against Maru and Clem, but every Grandmaster Terran's complaining about him, right? So it's always these interesting questions. And it's also kind of going to be interesting to see how exactly these players choose to open. Zhao Zhao has Masters on the American server. Don't know. He is also in Europe, so I don't know where he ranks on the European server, but he's Masters there. Sonic, unranked. We're going to see what happens. It's actually kind of fun when we talk about these matchups, because the players know their matchups a week in advance. Kind of interesting to see how the players or how the teams think about things, because this absolutely happens where one team says, yeah, you know, we think that their ringer is going to go out in map 1. Anyone want to sacrifice themselves for the cause so we can get better matchups elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, that might be the case, as you're saying. Zhao Zhao here having Masters. He's probably higher on EU, considering that's where he actually has good ping. So we'll have to see. His first Reapers coming in. So far, it's standard builds. Oh no, Psionic. No, Psionic! You have an adept!
Yeah, that's not great. So 2 workers are going to fall down at the very beginning. Now the adept's going to start to rotate over. And the second problem, there's no pylon. There's no shield battery. This bunker is, well, the Reaper's going to show up in the main base again, but theoretically, eventually, this bunker is going to cause a lot of problems. Now, realistically, you could... Okay, well, the Reaper's going to die, but that's 3 probes. Realistically, Titan, I was going to say, you can just kind of salvage the bunker at this point. You killed 3 probes. You're fine. I don't know that the second Reaper's going to find their way in. Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the target fire, if it just stays on the bunker...
Oh, no.
Is, yeah, okay, so the Reapers...
It's a disaster.
Oh, no. Okay, well, the probes are going to get pulled, which is not exactly what you want. The SCV will die, so that's good. At least this will eventually go down. But the real question is, how many probes are you willing to lose? Because so far, this has been way too many, as almost one last probe dying there. But, you know, 4? Or 6, sorry. 6.
The crazy thing is it could have been more, actually.
Yeah.
There were a couple of probes that the target fire was not as quick as Xiaozhao would have liked to, so he was doing damage to the adepts for actually about almost all the shields on one of the adepts. That very easily could have been another half a probe and a half, something like that. So we don't see that, luckily for Psionic, but we're 4.5 minutes in, and the Terran player has the same amount of workers as the Protoss player.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
not good.
If you're the Terran player, you're happy here. You look at this, you say, even economy? What is this, Christmas? And I think Psionic, maybe realizing that, is going to be heading straight. I mean, he has charge, actually. This is a really fast charge. I'm sorry. The gateways are not even up, and charge is done here, which feels like there's not going to be really a surprise here, because if Xiaozhao sends anything across the map, you'll see the additional move speed here on these Zealots. But also investing in a Storm this early, I mean, maybe Psionic is expecting like a 2-base all-in here, but so far, Xiaozhao is just playing the most standard Terran build you can.
Yeah, I mean, it is 5 minutes, and there isn't really a third base on the way, so when we talk about standard Terran builds, this is still on the more aggressive side. You know, this is like a 3-1-1. You move across the map, stim +1 combat shields, and take your third base behind it type of build, rather than the more like 1-1-1. I'm gonna play macro, which fair, makes sense. It works out. And that is technically something that going Charge Lot Storm is very good against. You land a Storm, the Charge Lot surround, you can take down a lot of this bio early. But if you're gonna do that, you wanna have a third base behind it. Oh, Hellions? No, they're not gonna get anything. I really would have liked to see them go and just try to target fire these High Templar down.
Ooh,
that would have been, I mean, it's 80 damage, right? Hellions, you do bonus damage to light. They would take that down in probably 3 shot. Yeah, so they would take that down in 2 volleys. And if you've got the lineup and just cut down the High Templar volley in half, this game's already bad. The game would be over.
And I mean, that's 600 gas that would have been invested there by Psionic this early in the game that would then be wasted. Luckily for him, High Templar are still alive here. Actually going to be going for a forward pylon, but Xiaozhao sends out a Marine, is going to see the charge loss, and I think that should be enough of a warning here that, yeah, man, you just play safe here. Xiaozhao, another bunker's going to go down. You see no third. Like, I think this is very clearly going to be a 2-base all-in here from the Protoss player, and you already have ghosts on the way for Xiaozhao.
Yeah, the problem is as well is because there's no robo. Your reinforcement lines are coming in from I really thought he was going to proxy the gateway. He just built his 6th gateway late, and so now it's coming in from these gateways behind. He's going to get a 7th finally down here, but you're in this setup now where you're leaning in. He's going up to 10 gates on 2 bases. That is. You're going to have a lot of Zealots. You actually cannot afford 10 gates on 2 bases, but if your macro is not perfect, then it'll work out. Yeah. And this is a big army. Make no mistake about it. It is up 13 army supply. You have Storms, you have Archons. But as you mentioned, there are already ghosts on the map, and now the Zealots are going to try to run for it, but there are already a couple bunkers. There's no repairs just yet. The Storms are really good. This is why you crash out of ladder games and say Protoss is imba, because if you land in Storms like that, well, this makes up for just about everything. Actually, everything. The game's psionic. That's disgusting.
And morphs the low health High Templar. I mean, the EMPs were wasted on the Zealots. They were used on the Zealots, and the High Templar just walked up. This is going to be the natural base going down. The only thing that Xiaozhao has going for him is that he has a 3rd base already built, and those are some nice EMPs, but you just have to hold the top of the ramp here, and even then, this is going to be a hard game to come back into.
It is, and unfortunately, Sonic has just moved the top of the ramp instead of taking one of the supply depots down, but more workers are going to fall. Zealots get on top of everything, and I'm sorry, ghosts are broken units. Ghosts are very good units. 2 ghosts do not beat that Protoss army. regardless of what the ladder the ladder pronouns are going to tell you, 2 ghosts do not beat that Arnie.
Especially not 2 ghosts that are EMPing zealots at the front when there's Archons and High Templar behind them. That was... Zhao Zhao wasn't ready. He saw it and built 1 bunker, did not complete the wall off, and the Protoss waltzes in and says, oh, I'll take your natural, end the game.
Yeah. So that means now that Power Underwhelming finds themselves with a 1-game lead. Let's go and update the scoreboard there. So they got 1 map. Alpha Star is at -1 maps, and we're going to get our way into game 2 eventually, which should be Krasnov versus Isaac Long. So that's going to be fun. That let's take a look what the map is going to be again on this one. I have the map ban list. Yeah, it's going to be Frostline for map number 2. I got to say, and I know it's not 100% relevant to the maps that we're playing on here, but I like that we're really experimenting with things a little bit more just on the ladder maps, right? We have healing zones finally on ladder maps, and finally some of these more interesting TLMC maps are showing up in the ladder pool.
Yeah, I mean, that was always, I think, the everyone's favorite part of the TLMC was that you got these really creative maps, and it was always a little disappointing when some of them wouldn't make it to ladder, because you'd be like, why not? This is like very fun. It changes up the play style of the game from what can be very stagnant with how we used to do maps, where they were just kind of all the copy and paste same general style. So it's really nice that we're getting that variation now, because that does just make the games a little more interesting, because then you can have really hyper-specific strategies for certain maps.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I miss Pro League, and this is why I love team leagues more often than not, is that you have a week to study your opponent, to study your map. You know, sometimes Pro League formats, you like WTL, that first map is known, second map isn't, whatever. But like, you just have this long time to download your opponent's replays and find what they do and become an absolute stalker for a week. You know, it's great. You have all this time. And then you just come up and you have the counter or the anti-counter, whatever it is, and you go to town. I mean, that is awesome. That is something that I love Weekenders. Weekenders are great. GSL format's cool too, but man, Pro League format just, it really leans into the more cerebral style of StarCraft that I mean, there's a reason, like going back to Pro League a long time ago, that we had these players that didn't do very well in 1v1 events, but they did very well in Pro League. And it's like, yeah, it's a different game.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I think that's why we saw I think those Pro Leagues be so popular, those team leagues be so popular. And I mean, I know I enjoyed watching them. I mean, actually, I started watching team leagues, actually. I started all the way back with Shoutcraft Clan Wars, which was hosted, of course, by the late Total Biscuit. And they were so fun. And I mean, I think that's maybe why we saw that 2-base all-in. Maybe, you know, Psyonix was like, well, I've seen this guy. He plays really greedy. He goes for an early 3rd base. So I'm just going to pull the trigger on 2-base all-in and hope it works. And if it doesn't, too bad. But I'm willing to play that bet.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you make a mistake, your team can pick you up. So, you know, it's not my fault, guys. I just lost a single map. You also lost maps. I didn't do it. It's not my fault. This is why team games are fun, because you can blame your opponents or you can blame your teammates for things. This is why this matters. But okay, so we're going to be moving into what is technically map 1, our second game on Frostline. Pluto playing for the Google Alpha Stars. We're not playing for Bill Power Underwhelming. Pluto has asked for just a bit of a second, so we're not going to get started just yet, but I feel confident in being able to say that this is going to be a PvZ this time. We're not going to lie to you anymore, because the players are actually in their slots. That's important. So Titan, you had interesting things to say about PvZ before it turned into not a PvZ.
Yeah, before we shifted like 3 different matchups. Yeah, I think that PvZ, for the longest time, I feel like PvZ has always been the most, for me, I think actually has been very interesting, because the amount of builds that were viable I think were the most out of any of the matchups, because there was so much that Protoss could do in the early game. There's so much Protoss was trying to do in the early game to slow down the Zerg. And especially now, but now we've kind of seen the shift where, oh, the mothership, something that's a little more reliable in the late game if you want to go Sky Toss, it can't get abducted. It finally can't get abducted, you guys.
It also attacks 6 units at a time for 36 damage. So,
yeah. Like, Protoss late game has been buffed up the wazoo, and I know a lot of Protoss players are very happy about that because that's what they love to do. So,
man, there was a meta when we were doing, when Protoss was really trending towards ground toss being viable into the late game, and you would like maybe get some Sky Toss to supplement, but it's very much ground toss focused. And I love that. That is like ideal. And now it's like, yes, the mothership. The mothership. The mothership. The mothership that sent us into game number 2 between We're Not in Pluto.
Yep. And in the bottom left-hand corner of Frostline LE, he's going to be playing, obviously, for the Google Alpha Stars. He is your blue Protoss. His name is Pluto.
And in the upper right in the red, the Zerg player looking to cement a lead. Actually, if he wins this game, technically, Google Alpha Stars can only tie. They cannot win. Not exactly sure how that tie would work out in the rest of the rules, but they can only tie. It is Weirdna. Because Pluto is rocking the -1 map score right now due to the penalty point. So theoretically, in a best of 5, Google Alpha Stars, they have to win 4-1 if they want to win the series. They can go 3-2, and that'll make them 3-3, and then it gets really weird in terms of standings.
Yeah, if they don't win this, that's where things start to get into the tiebreakers, and we get extra matches, which obviously I think everyone's happy about when you get more matches of StarCraft 2. The teams that, you know, for Google Alpha Stars, they probably won't like that, but yeah, you get into the tiebreaker rules, and that's where there's a whole another part of the rule book that we need to look at. But we'll see what the strategy is here on Frostline. Obviously, not the biggest map, so I don't know if we're going to be expecting to see like a massive late game Sky Toss here. But I'm excited to see what kind of build comes out from Pluto here, especially when you're considering like, hey, your team's at -1 points. You need to do something here to make sure you get a win.
Well, I hear Storm's pretty good. That's what the first map told us. You use Storm the light units and they die.
Yeah. If your opponent groups up, then just press a button, press your little T hotkey, and you win the game. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. It is nice that, by the way, that Microbial Shroud, talking about late game Sky Toss, it's still kind of a Storm here button, but it's not quite as much of a Storm here button as it used to be, because it lingers on the units so they can kind of get out of Storm a little bit better. But man, you're right, Storm here button, that we're gonna have to see. This is of course a very standard PvZ opening, right? Pluto, he's going Gate Cyber, and he's got his Nexus in there, right? He's going into a Stargate behind this, should be an Oracle popping out. These are very standard timings. You get your Spore up at 3:30, you position your Queens appropriately. Weirdna does have the good scout in. He knows exactly what his opponent's doing. So you asked what it is that Pluto can do to go and like make sure that he gets a win. And it seems like his answer is, well, at the start of this game, at the very least, I'm gonna play very standard. I'm gonna do what everyone does. Maybe there's a wrinkle. I'm gonna add in a Void Ray, because I want to kill off this Overlord, and that's not bad. When I talked to Astray about this a bit ago, he told me, he's like, you know, if you think you can kill more than one Overlord, get the Void Ray, otherwise don't. And the bad news for Pluto is that there's only one Overlord on this side of the map. There's not 2 hanging Overlords waiting to die.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as you see that first one, then Weirdna can just move this one that's on the bottom of the map back and hide it away, and then the Void Ray is going to be a very sad camper. But it will be the Oracle to follow up, and it looks like it will be this third base for Pluto. He did push it with the Adept earlier and got a single worker kill. Actually had a chance to potentially kill off a few Zerglings as well, but that first Adept was eventually did end up dying to the Queens, which, you know, Weirdna playing this also very safe and standard. You have your first few Spore Crawlers here just to make sure that when that Oracle does eventually come, you're able to deal with it nice and handedly. And both players just going up to 3 bases and Looks like Beowulf, we're just going to get a standard macro game here in game number 2.
Yeah. And it looks like actually he will get the second. I really thought there was nothing over here, but he will get the second Overlord as well. Just see the Void Rays kind of shift clicked everywhere with attack moves. So yeah, he's going to get the second Overlord. That's another 8 supply cap down the drain. It's 100 minerals. It's not bad. But that does mean when you do go a Void Ray like this, you don't have an Oracle as quickly. It does mean you have to keep your depths back home. It means that there is perspective pressure on this third base, like what Weird Knot's fighting. It's not enough to kill. But what it has meant is on top of this Oracle just not getting a lot of kills or being able to move across the map, it also soaks a ton of energy. So the Oracle's not going to be able to dive in and kill off a bunch of drones, and it just buys a little bit more time. And well, behind this, Weird Knot, he's got that Hydra Den down. So Hydraling Bane, something like that. It will enable pressure. You know, we do see some players, I think Cyril's a good progenitor of this, who like to almost skip this stage. You get the Hydra Den, so you can have units to fight off against the Protoss, but really trying to get up to like tier 3 as quick as possible. But given what we see from Pluto, I don't know. Well, I mean, there is a Templar Archives on the way, so yeah. Ling Hydra is not it's not the happiest thing.
Yeah, no, as soon as you were talking about that, the Templar Archives went down right as soon as you said Hydraling Bane, maybe, and then it's like Pluto heard you. It was like, actually, no, I'm going to go for Storm. I'm going to get my Templar here. But yeah, charge a lot Templar, probably charge a lot Archons as well. Means that Pluto's going to have a very nice composition here into the mid game to deal with the Hydralisks, obviously. When you have those Templar, if you get Archons up, they can just tank the Zerglings. And then if you have that space where the Zerglings are dead, charge lots just go to town on Hydras. They love it. They have a field day. But I think Pluto's actually in a decently good spot, even though he had to keep that Oracle home. He is macroing up very, very well. He's actually only 7 workers behind the Zerg. And on even bases, although this 4th base for Weird Knot is finishing up now. As a Protoss player, I think you're very happy with how this game is turning out, even though he hasn't even scouted the fact that it is a Hydra Den. Or actually, no, sorry, he did with the Oracle. So Pluto's just having a field day here.
Yeah, I'm actually really, well, especially if he loses this 4th base like this, I'm kind of worried about Weird Knot. He's only on 3 queens, so his creep spread is just not good. But no, it's not going to be. I was like, it looks like he might be able to defend the 4th base with it. No. More charge lots are going to run in. And this is why going up past 3 queens is so important. Even after the queens have been nerfed and everything else has changed, you need to have a couple creep queens. You got to get those creep teamers down. You have to be able to connect your bases, because otherwise this happens. You don't have any forewarning. You don't have a good way to isolate or to circulate between your bases. And then the Zealots run in and the Archons run in and you die, which is exactly what has happened to Weird Knot here. Unfortunately for him, Pluto hit a timing, charged light Archons across the map, macroed very well. And I don't think this timing was meant to kill the Zerg. I think this was just meant to pressure the Zerg. But if it kills the Zerg too, I don't think Pluto's complaining.
I mean, no, 4th base goes down, I mean, the big thing is not only do you kill the 4th base, but you kill all the Hydralisks, so no longer can Weird Knot start stacking up those Hydra counts and getting to that critical mass. Suddenly he's completely set back in the army, and behind all of this, as the Protoss, you're going up to 70 workers, you're getting your double robotics facility, you're saying, hey, I might go into Colossus as well, because I have so much money right now, I can do whatever the hell I want.
Well, I can also just go kill the 3rd base, because the army of Weird Knot is so out of position, and the Zealots, they're not targeting the base down just yet, but they will be soon, and this is way too many Zealots for this stage in the game for just the reinforcements to deal with. So Void Ray is going to turn on, the prismatic alignment is going to go add in with everything else, and this is a dead 3rd base. It's a 2-base Zerg. 9 minutes in, 8:45 in, it's going to be a recall back home that really only gets a Zealot. I think even the High Templar that was rallied across, yeah, that's going to be fun as well. So Weird Knot is supply blocked, doesn't have a 3rd base. Natural or 3rd base is like halfway remade on the 4th. He's making another one, but he's got to go right now, and he's hella supply blocked, so this attack is not going to be all that great either. And while we don't have Storm, it's interesting. There are 3 High Templar in this army, but Storm isn't done. Despite that, I don't think Weird Knot can fight this.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have +1/+1. It is a lot of Hydras that he's been able to amass here, and that is going to cancel at least the fourth base, which is a small consolation here for the Zerg while you're trying to get back up your own bases. So the fourth or the third is back up for Weird Nah. Still though needs to apply some pressure, but into 2 Colossi. As I said, even without that storm, the 2 Colossi I think are more than enough to just ward off this entire. I mean, I don't think these Hydras even have muscular augments because these are very slow-moving Hydras, and these Zealots are having absolutely no trouble just catching up to them.
No, they do have muscular augments. They have that.
Okay.
But it's really unfortunate for Pluto here because he rushed out the power units, which I understand, but Extended Thermal Lance is not done, hasn't even been started. Storm is now on the way. He's kind of realized, yes, I cannot hit the Storm button. I should get that started. But if he had Extended Thermal Lance, if he had Storm, he wipes that army. It's dead. It's gone. It's not even worth talking about. And then he just runs across the map and wins the game. As it stands, he's still in an incredible position. He's got himself 3 Colossus. He's going up to 5 Colossus Titan. But there is a Lurker Den on the way, right? There is an Infestation Pit. There's a world where he doesn't pay attention, walks over 10 Lurkers and doesn't attack. And I'm not saying it's a likely world, but it is technically an alternate reality that does exist.
There's also a world where Weird Nah just walks into the Colossi and loses half of his army there. Now all the Zerglings are dead, which did just happen. So, I mean, Weird Nah has some money in the bank, but you really can't afford to just fight this army head on, as the storms are now available, and yeah, the Hydras are not going to be very happy about that. And, yeah, I mean, Pluto's doing. Oh no, Weird Nah, this is not the position you want to be in right now.
Yeah. Oh, big storm comes in. Not even from the flank, just moves in, drops the storm down, and they all die in a rain of fire. There are 5 Colossus on the map, plus 2 attack just about done. And yeah, Weird Nah is going to be forced to tap out here. So Alpha Stars get their 0th point on the board, first point on the board, and their hopes stay alive. We don't get into weird tiebreaker math.
Yeah. Now they just have to win 3 more here to try and get the victory, obviously. It's a tough situation for them. Or sorry, 4 more to win this. It's a tough situation for them, but there is still a chance. And I mean, I think if you're the rest of Google Alpha, if you're the rest of Google Alpha Stars, you're probably pretty happy with how that went. You might be feeling a little inspired by seeing Pluto just absolutely dominate that game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you get Splash coming in from storms. It would have even been better if you got Extended Thermal Lance. That's one of those things that just really allows you to make sure your Colossus are firing on the Hydras, because otherwise the ranges are kind of similar and it's just a little bit more awkward. As it stands, that is not going to be the case as we're getting our players set up here. It's going to be P and Keel versus Rising Star. I don't see them in the lobby just yet, but they might be under a different name in StarCraft 2. So that's fine. Neon Violet Square, otherwise known as oh, never mind. That is everyone is leaving the lobby.
All right.
We're making a new lobby.
Yep. We're gonna hop on out of there. I was gonna say, is Neon Violet Square? Is that in our map pool? I believe it is.
Yeah, my head was like, yes, formerly known as Blackpink, but that is actually not correct. There are 2 different maps with similar enough names and aesthetics.
Yeah, the color schemes are very close together on those. I do love Neon Violet Square. If you guys don't remember, it is the square. It's got the little chessboard squares in the middle. It's a very fun little map that. I mean, I don't know how big of fans people were of it when it was in the ladder pool, but I think it's an interesting map to see how people end up playing it out with how the bases are laid out. And once we see our race matchup, obviously, then we'll have a little more idea of where it is. Is there a new? All right. I think I will be going off of your screen, Bayo, because I'm not in the lobby.
Oh, well, luckily we have this tech is already enabled and we're good to go. We're tied up technically at 1 game apiece, but of course there is that map penalty that does exist. Actually, let's go update the scoreboard before we do that one. There we go. updating that there. And we're about to go into game number 2. P and Keel, of course, playing for the Alpha Stars. So game 3. Spawning in the upper right in the blue. He's playing for the Alpha Stars. He had his teammate got him a win, and now he's trying to get another. It's P and Keel.
And in the bottom right of Neon Violet Square, playing for Bill, Power Underwhelming. He is your red Protoss. His name is City.
I just love the concept of playing for Bill. It's like, you know, Bill down the street, he's having a good time. Who do you play for? Yeah, we play for Bill.
Yeah, my good pal Bill, you know, he's...
Goes by William on the weekends.
Oh! A double proxy racks coming out here for P and Keel. So the Google Alpha Stars, I think, wanting to quickly tie this up 1-1 if they can.
You know, I was, I thought you were saying, about the fact that my wordplay was bad because, you know, William on the weekends, the alliteration was there, but no, you were actually talking about the game.
I'm sorry, Bayo.
Man,
your jokes have to wait.
This guy. But yeah, double proxy racks on the way, double gas as well. So Reapers are going to be the order of the day. And City knows this. He's like, yes, double gas. No racks in the main base. Something's a little messed up here. Something's just a little screwy.
Yeah, you know what you do when you see that, Bayo, though? You build your Nexus, and it looks like he's just going to go a single gateway adept here. And I'm kind of worried for... Okay, there we go. I was about to say, there's no way you just don't respond to this, right?
Well...
But is it too late?
It's a little awkward, right? So what's getting... We got a Stalker getting chronoed out. And the weird thing about this is a Reaper into Marauders. Generally, you kind of go one or the other just because of the gas costs and making sure that you just add timings. But it's a Reaper into Concussive Shell Marauder play. And what this means is you Stalkers are kind of the answer to both in that they have range, but Marauders do very well. I mean, one of the reasons you do this is because you can kill off a bunch of Stalkers with Concussive Shell Marauders. So the point being here is City's going to be expecting one thing. 2 Marauders, or a couple of Marauders are going to show up at his natural. They're going to have Concussive Shell. There is a shield battery here, but remember, there's no shield battery overcharge anymore. You can give it some more energy. You can energy overcharge it, but that's it. All right, that is not nearly as strong as the defensive tool as it used to be. Oh man, P and Keel is trying to bait this out.
I mean, if these Stalkers walk down the ramp, then that might just be the game, but it looks like P and Keel's gonna have to walk up. There's 2 probes here as well to block. That's gonna be the Reaper going down. The first probe will also fall. 4 Marauders are here. Combat Shields was canceled. Now Stim started up. There's also a factory back home and a 3rd barracks, but there's a starport on the way for City. Now, that's a proxy Stargate. If City gets this Stargate up and there is nothing, and P and Keel does not push in to the base, there's actually a very real chance that he can do crippling economic damage with an Oracle or a Void Ray.
Yeah, I was looking at this. I'm like, man, I kind of would just want to see P and Keel go and expand behind this. That makes sense. You just have your opponent contained. But as it stands, it's actually kind of good for him that, well, actually, no, it's not. Because it's kind of good for him that he's getting this extra barracks at home. But building 1 Marine at a time, rallying it across, is not going to give you that defense. And if you had a starport, or if you even had some Cyclones on the way or something, then I'd be a little happier. But I love you, City. This is great. Thank you. You know what? Look, SOS is qualified back in the GSL for the first time in like 5 years. I think it's 4 years. And we have immediately Proxy Nexi on the menu. Yes, thank you.
So this is the first I've heard of this news. So we're going to save that for after this game because that's very exciting. But yeah, Proxy Nexus alongside the Stargate. It looks like no Cyclones either, which feels really, really bad here for P and Keel, and he's not even producing anything out of the Tech Lab factory. So yeah, the Oracle could just do this. There's nothing stopping it.
This is a thing that you are allowed to do in the game of StarCraft. Kill off all of your opponent's workers. Now, though, take a look at the high ground. Stim is just about done. You know, the Oracle's gonna...
Is he just gonna go for it?
I think he got it.
You got it, right? They're halfway across the map already. I think you just have to go for the worker rush here as P and Keel.
Yeah, just go for it. And by the way, I think I said this was not Blackpink. I lied about lying. It is actually formerly known as Blackpink. But this is a big army. It's going to run across. Problem is, there's a sentry here, and you can just force field, split this army up. It is going to be a very awkward engagement. I really like the situation for City if he manages it properly. It's just a question of whether, you know what? That's a wasted force field. Granted, it's a very high energy sentry, and he's going to energy overcharge the Oracle to give that its energy back up so it can drop a stasis trap, which, okay, I don't think you spend the force field there. I think you actually go and spend the stasis ward and try to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what happens here, though, City is in a good spot.
He sees it.
No! That is absolutely brutal. The force field's wasted again, but
this is actually kind of okay, right? Because the SCVs are giving high ground vision, so the Cyclone can actually get a little bit of damage done and waste all the energy on the shield battery. Like, it's actually kind of okay. And now he's going to sit on top. Force field, though, is really good, and, well, it's actually not okay at all.
Never mind.
Nope, it was the best it was going to possibly be, but that best it possibly was not enough.
Yeah, that was an interesting strategy from P and Keel. I don't know what I think of the proxy 2 racks into not committing to getting any damage done, into building a factory at home for a tech lab to build nothing out of it, into your second base. I don't think a standard build order. I think there was kind of like, I think P and Keel is stuck between wanting to, like, as you said, just expand off of it with the contain, and then also being like, oh, but I should try and end the game because I have a really strong army, and then did neither. And City just made the right plays. Said, all right, I'm just going to proxy Stargate. I'm going to build my expansion across the map where you can't even see it because I have a probe out on the map. And I'm just going to play defensive, and I'm going to use this Oracle to try and force your hand. Yeah, and now that means that build power underwhelming is sitting here not underwhelming in the slightest. They're up 2 games to 0, or 2 games to 0. That's what we can talk about in this, which does now mean that Google Alpha Stars can no longer win the week. They can not lose the week. That is a possibility, because if they win the next 2, we're going to be tied at 2-2, and then something happens next week, maybe if the tiebreaker is necessary. So you do have that kind of hanging over everyone's heads. But in the meantime, Google Alpha Stars can no longer win. We're going to move on to Ultra Love for map number 4. And man, Ultra Love is just, I really like Ultra Love. Just not from a gameplay perspective necessarily, but it's just got these nice red-blue accents. It's just such a pretty map. It's a really fun, it's a really good looking map. I love it when map designers as well just have fun and like say, I want to make something that looks cool. And then they make something that looks cool, and you're like, yes, this is what we want. Ultra Love is going to be a very fun map here. And as you said, now you have build power underwhelming up to technically 0. And considering the fact that Google Alpha Stars needs 4 wins, that's not possible. So now we're in the situation where power underwhelming, you get 1 more win here, you're in a great spot. You're doing absolutely wonderful. You've actually won. And then we go to these really fun tiebreaker scenarios where maybe they can start to etch out a 3rd. Maybe if Michigan RTS also doesn't win, maybe that's a 2nd. Depending on how it gets really interesting here for power underwhelming. Oh, that's cool as well. Apparently, Ultra Love is made by a former CEA competitor. Oh, yeah. The thing is, you learn. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move. I mean, I used to play in a team league with the guy that built co-op for StarCraft 2 and is now at Frostshine before he got hired to Blizzard. Small world, right, in StarCraft? But we're going to move into the 4th game. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ultra Love. Perhaps the most soothing map to look at in the top right-hand corner. Playing for Google Alpha Stars, it is their captain. He's the Purple Protoss, also representing SC Swarm. His name is Ulkin. He is the positively perfect Purple Protoss. Say that one 7 times fast, 5 times not enough. But in the bottom left, in the red, he is representing Bill. He is their captain. He's up 2 games to 0. The Zerg player, it's Buckwheat. Now, Bayo, do you think they planned out to have the captains face off?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I don't actually know, but this is something I am willing to believe is, well, it makes sense, right? You're all, realistically, yes, you want to win, but this is all for charity. It's not that whoever wins is going to a good cause.
Yeah.
And the captains have beef. I don't know what the beef is, but I choose to believe they have a prize steer level of beef.
Oh, that is a lot of beef.
I mean, look, I moved to Texas 6 months ago, and I'm really working on understanding the importance of different types of beef. How am I doing?
I mean, I think you got the basics down. You know, big steer, lots of beef. That's about as much as I know, at least.
Also, what Dallas drivers are bad at doing, steering.
I've never been to Dallas, but I live nearby Massachusetts, so I think it's close enough.
Yeah. As someone who's also lived near Massachusetts. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be a very fun game though between these two captains. Obviously here for Alkin, you want to try and get this to a tie. I think as you said, that's the best situation now here for Google Alpha Stars. Is you get this to a tie, which again I'm not sure how that plays out because they would have to tie it on the ace map, which is then an interesting situation of how that looks in the standings. And I don't know if you go to a second ace match after that.
Now I've asked the league runner, the admin, about this, and it's like, well, it is okay for a week to end in a tie. That is possible under the rules. If it ends up really mattering for the final results, drone goes down. Actually,
nice.
Yeah, gets 2 drones. They're very nicely done, and these drones are not mining. Buckwheat. I know there's a black hole right there, but you don't. Okay, good. The event horizon was avoided. But it's like, you know what? Look, it doesn't matter. We can have a tie if it ends up mattering for the final standings for who gets first, second, third. Then we might do a tiebreaker next week. But as it stands, if it ends up 2-2, that's where we stop.
All right. Good to know. Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a charity league, so obviously, really, all we're playing for here is to give money to a good cause, which is like, cool. That's wonderful. I love that. As Alkin here is going to be going into the Oracle, which, obviously there's just a single Overlord here hanging out in front of the base. So Buckwheat knows exactly what's happening. There's no surprises here for him. Third base on the way for the Zerg. Spore Crawler's already up at Buckwheat, aside from not, putting his workers back on the minerals, dotting his T's, crossing his I's, is in a great position. Loses another drone to this Oracle because he doesn't have a Spore Crawler at the third.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's not really what you want. But hey, look, if you are cheering for Google Alpha Stars to tie the week up, that's a good start. Although, Titan, I think it's important to point out, you're saying, yeah, you can't really lose. It's always going to a good cause. I think it's very important to point out here, Titan, that my good cause is just better than your good cause. Morally, ethically, everything. So I really want to win because my good cause is makes me a better person than your good cause makes you.
You're so right, and for that reason, I'm going to have to excommunicate you from the Church of StarCraft 2. Actually.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's my special ability, in this game we're playing. So like I can do that.
Are you? Do you remember the homily of the Church of Tasia?
Yeah. Yes.
That one guy on Reddit would post every single time Tasia was about to play in a tournament.
See, that's the level of devotion that I think you really need to your cause. As Alkin here is returning the favor, these 3 probes are not mining, so that's just, saying, hey, Buckwheat, I saw what happened earlier to you, as these 3 adepts here are actually going to get a few more kills. 8 workers have actually gone down so far. Alkin has had incredibly good harassment and is going to get a 9th, a 10th, even an 11th, add that on in there. This Zerg, Buckwheat's not very happy with that.
Yeah.
Now the Oracles come in? Oh
no, this is a dead Zerg that we're looking at right now. Unfortunately, but if you Google Alpha Stars, you're very happy about this one because remember the ace match is not known. You can throw in Pluto or Alkin and put yourself in a pretty nice spot. Now, Lings are going to show up on the other side, and a couple Stalkers will fall down, but there's a recall there available. And, well, that means the Oracles, they're going to be able to come back, but they're not, they haven't, yeah, they got enough energy to deal with these Lings. So they find something, and behind this, Buckwheat has 13 drones on the way. And because that's absolutely what he has to do, he's still down workers compared to Alkin, even after that big swell of drones. It is a bad economic situation. Bad habits lead to late nights or something. The poet told me.
They sleep at night or something like that, as Ed Sheeran said. Yeah, when you lose 16 drones in the first 6 minutes as a Zerg, you are really not happy. And the issue is, there's still only 3 queens. What is with the Zergs today? Only building 3 queens, and now the Stalkers show up. They have +1, so that's going to be the queen dead, and now the Oracles have free reign. They're not really needed to get rid of the Zerglings. Buckwheat doesn't have an army, and so now more drones are going to go down.
Like, I can't understand the desire to build less queens because they got nerfed in the most recent patch. Fine, but you got to have at least 1 to spread creep. That has to be a thing, because otherwise you have this situation right here where you can't bring your queens together to go defend. The Lings, I mean, Lings are still fast, but if you're going to get roaches, they fail to circulate properly. And Buckwheat also supply blocked, losing out on a couple Oracles. So, like his cartoon namesake, Buckwheat's not in the happiest situation. You know what? I feel like Buckwheat in the cartoons, he's kind of a punching bag. So, I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is Alkin makes it happen. He puts Alpha Stars on the board, technically this time for real. And there's a point.
They have 1 point, and the PVZs so far have been one-sided for one of the races.
It's like my ladder games.
You know what? If I played ladder anymore, probably mine as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting. So we've seen Zergs on both sides pretty much fall prey to, I think, the same mistake here, which is you build 3 queens and then you have no defense early against harassment. And the Protoss just builds enough stuff on 2 bases to 3 bases and kills you. Great news for Google Alpha Stars, though. They are now up. They have 1 point to 2 versus their opponents. So they are on the way here to trying to tie up this series. And again, as we mentioned, you tie this series for Google Alpha Stars. That's the best case, because then if it matters for the standings, you will get that tiebreaker next week. If you lose here, you're still going to get that tiebreaker. But it's kind of less in your control. And there's a chance that depending on how match wins line up, series wins line up, then suddenly it's, you might actually not even get to go to that, depending on that.
So now we need to figure out as well who's playing in map 5. That's the other thing. Maps 1 through 4 are, actually, it looks like we're getting declarations right now. Maps 1 through 4, you know that what's happening a week in advance. Map 5, there's a revive. Anyone on the team can go play in that match. It will be Coda. That'll be map number 5 there. But I'm excited to see how this thing is going to work out. So let's see. Not Buckwheat. Centurion/City versus Alkin. So that'll be a PvP ace match.
I'm very excited for a PvP this. There's a chance that this is the most ridiculous match of the series so far.
Oh, dude, I got some bad news for you as well. It's a natural with a choke. It's a natural with a choke ramp.
Oh, no.
Now, of course, the max pack build is not quite as popular as it used to be, but there's a world where this is just like Phoenix Wars to end it all.
I mean, listen, I'm all right with my namesake being invoked here in game number 5, but yeah, there is a chance here on Coda that this is either a very interesting back and forth PvP, or it's a game of who can build the most stuff. And we won't know until we actually get into the game. Obviously, I think City, we've seen, likes to play this pretty standard. He just played defensive against the cheese from the Terran player. Alkin, we didn't really, we got to see him just do a standard opening and just kind of win the game. So we don't know what his play style is going to be here. So there's a lot of unknowns heading into this game 5.
Yeah, and a lot of known knowns and a lot of unknown unknowns and unknown knowns. And we're going way too deep quoting Rumsfeld on this one, but that's fine because Coda is loading up. We have, by the way, Titan, did you know that apparently you are the Pope of StarCraft? This is what YouTube
StarCraft.
chat has said.
I mean, I thank you guys. I really appreciate your belief in me, and I will make sure to bring liberty in the form of liberators to all. All hail the Terran overlords. You put the wrong guy in power, ladies and gentlemen. In the bottom right hand corner of Coda for game number 5, it is the ace for Google Alpha Stars in the purple. He is Alkin.
And in the upper left, in the red, looking to go 2-0 in this best of 5, personally, and make sure that there is no tie. Make sure that they win on points, on standing, on merit, and all of these wonderful things. He's not the country, he is the city.
Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to just like be like, oh, who's my opponent for this next match? It's like a city.
Oh yes, New York.
Yeah, the city of New York is here. They want to have a word with you.
I mean, there is a book by N.K. Jemisin where like I wasn't a big fan of it. Much prefer some of her other books, but and I cannot quite remember the name of the book, unfortunately. But like the main character is like the city is alive, and the main character is interacting with the city of New York.
Oh,
kind of like a magical realism type thing.
I like. It reminds me a lot of. I'm gonna go even further into the nerdiness here. If any of you watch Dimension 20, obviously you have their season on the Unsleeping City, where it's set in New York and like the city is alive with magic and stuff. I really love those kind of settings though. They're so fun.
You can go one step further and go like full Mortal Engines, and it's like, ah yes, we are ramming our cities at each other. Full speed ahead. I will eat your city with my city. There we go.
I like to think that's what we're at here, is that city is actually just like a city on wheels that like has 2 little arms on a keyboard and mouse that's like trying to play this game on a computer.
Man, talk about that. I was so sad. I loved those books. And then the movie came out. It's like, oh. Interesting setup though. We got to talk about what's happening in this game for a little bit, because Alkin and City are doing very different things. You could be forgiven for saying, look at it, it's one base, whatever. No, this is a 2-gate opening coming out of Alkin, but this is a gate cyber into a Stargate. So this is like the nouveau version of that old Max Packs gate expand, or like 1-gate expand type idea, because you're not expanding yet. You get your Stargate up a little bit faster, but you still have this, right? You still have this Stargate on the way very quickly. You're not building a ton of units out of the gateway. So it is a little bit different. We're going to see how much damage, because with this matchup, because you're not going for the quick expand, you're just getting that quicker Oracle, you do have to get damage done to make it worthwhile.
If you're looking at what Alkin has seen, really the only information that he has is that was a Cyber Core second with no second gateway. So the actual follow-up tech here, this Stargate, is not known. You could maybe assume, but I don't know. We're not sure if Alkin's going to assume that. There is going to be a shield battery in the mineral line, which is obviously good. But he also hit 2 sentries here for defense, just in case it's something else. So it looks like City, though. That's actually going to be a Void Ray here, not an Oracle.
Interesting. So he got his first Oracle out. That's across the map. But Alkin, he scattered it out. The Phoenix across the map, the hallucination, perfectly timed. And the funny thing is, this is an old change at this point, but it's still... what is it, a year and a half now, a year old, but it's still funny. And that is Sentries, at least against shields, they absolutely shred these Oracles. So they do a pretty good job of putting them down to 50% HP. Now, you're still defending 2 bases. That's a little bit awkward. So this Oracle, we talked about having to get some damage done. It's pretty much paid for itself at this point. It's gotten what you need to get done. It's killed 6 workers. It's equalized the worker count. Alkin's a little bit ahead, but most of that's going to come out in the float. Most of that's going to come out in the balance. And now we take a look at where things are going after this, because if you open Stargate like this, it does slow down your Twilight or your Robo, right? It slows down that level of tech. Alkin is not that far ahead in his blink time.
Yeah, no, it's like maybe 10, 15 seconds here with the chrono boost is going to actually kind of exacerbate that blink lead. But as I said, it's not that much. Alkin's still on 2 gateways, and City's actually going up to 3. So the timing here is not bad for City in terms of teching up. And you got the damage with the Oracle, and it's still alive is kind of the key thing. You have those Revelations to use. You have a Void Ray for defense, which is just kind of going to sit here for a while. Maybe a little bit of extra money that was just safety, didn't need to be invested, but it's nice to have. But yeah, City's in a really, I think, solid spot. The one thing is that Alkin does have that extra money, and so he's immediately putting down a third Nexus.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The probe was scouted. The Oracle saw the probe, and I'm like, yeah, he's going to deny the third base, right? Just kill the probe. He didn't. Third base is going to go up, and that is not exactly what you like to see a City. I wonder if he's just going to turn this into I don't think you can. I was going to say, I wonder if he turns this into a timing. Tries to bust the third base down, but if we look at tech here, it's 3 gateways to 2, but there's going to be, I would assume, a third gateway done soon. You're going to have, you just got Defender's advantage, right? That is, it's one of these setups where I don't know that there's a bust timing. And because there's not a bust timing, this third gate or this third base is just going to be up 15, 20 seconds faster. That's an extra probe or two. It's not the biggest lead, but it will be forcing City to play from like slightly further behind.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about chrono boosts here as well. And the other timing that Alkin is going to be ahead on is that +1, which he's also chrono boosting out alongside the charge. So there are just these slight windows where Alkin is going to be stronger. Now we'll have to see if he actually can make anything of that, because it's very hard sometimes, these small windows, to take advantage of them. But I will say the charge timing is starting to get really off for City. He does not have charge started, and Alkin is starting to get towards halfway done before City starts his up.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's funny because these timings are always so clear when we're watching as an observer, and then you play the game or you watch the people, even the pro players play, and the +1 timing for PvP is like almost never hit, even when there's a lead. The charge timing when one has charge and one doesn't is almost never hit, even when there's a significant lead, because it's really hard to tell. And especially in a mirror matchup, it's really hard to tell if that's what the timing's going to be. So we can see, absolutely, +1 versus no +1. But if Alkin sees this, like, I got +1, my opponent doesn't, I don't know if it's like going to pop in like right as I make the attack happen. And if that happens, that's a really bad fight for me. So instead, we're just going to go 4th base. We're going to continue to evolve. Cadle is getting their wish. It may not go 30 minutes, but it's not going 5.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, and as you were saying, the other thing is about it when you're playing these mirror matchups, sometimes as a player, you're kind of assuming that your opponent, if they're a similar level, is on the similar timing to you, just naturally, as that's a nice catch there on the Oracle. These Stalkers here are just going to push. Stasis Ward there is actually going to be really nice. These should be 4 dead Stalkers as soon as that pops. But the one thing that Alkin does know is that he is just going to be ahead in the macro, just from the opening alone, saying like, hey, I saw my opponent win Oracle, they went Void Ray, I'm going to be ahead on my tech, and I know that ooh, nice pickup on the Void Ray as well. Alkin being just a little bit sneaky here with these Blink Stalkers. Is going to lose 1 or 2 here. And I don't think the others are actually going to get away either, because they're on the same hotkey and they're running right towards the rest of City's army.
Yeah, I was going to say, the good news about these Stalkers that are stasis traps, they had Blink on cooldown, or off cooldown, so they could just kind of blink away and run away, but hotkey woes come for us all, Titan, and that is exactly what happened there. But luckily, charge is done for City. He has his +1 done. +2 is actually ahead of his opponents at this point. He's got Archons getting it added in. He's got Immortals in this army that actually Alkin doesn't have. And Immortals, I mean, they pack a punch. And most importantly, they don't really care about the Archon count. You know, Archons do a lot of damage, absolutely, but it's primarily against biological units, against these Zealots that are here that they fall away pretty quickly. Immortals just targeting the Archons down can be a pretty solid additional DPS. The big deal, though, is City's 4th base is halfway done, and Alkins has been mining for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the worker count, you might say, oh, City's ahead, but then you look at the income and you're realizing that Alkin is mining 500 more minerals per minute right now, and he's going to be on that still for another 15 seconds here, plus his 5th base is already on the way. I think Alkin has been really smart here, actually, about kind of recognizing that there is just a slight advantage that he's going to have in terms of economy, in terms of like how fast he's able to expand, because he didn't spend that extra money, those extra minerals on Stargate units. And he's just pushing that. He's running, trying to run away with that as fast as he can.
Yeah, I will say the good news, good news for City, is as he tries to develop more and more tech, he's mining a little bit more gas. That's where some of these workers are. He's up 10 workers. Obviously, now that he's mining out the 4th base, he's fully saturated there, but he's on, it looks like 4 gas, and his opponent's only on 3. So he's going to be able to get more Archons out. He's going to be able to get more Immortals and tech-heavy units out, and that can be very useful so long as he can survive just this insane goal. He wants to take the fight right now, by the way. He's got +2. His opponent doesn't, and he's going to take a massive one. Guardian Shield doesn't really do anything when it's Zealots that are killing your army, so big fight comes in for City right now. Now, of course, on the other side, run by, it's going to get handled. It's not getting much of anything, and this timing is exactly what City wanted. Question now, Titan, as he attacks into Defender's advantage, can he push through?
Yeah, I mean, shield battery, the energy overcharge already used here, so these Archons, this is the last of the shields that they have. And as you said, those Immortals are just firing away, doing so much damage. A recall is going to be popped here, but, I mean, all the units are dead. He recalled his units onto the wrong Nexus, just had all the Nexi on one hotkey, and now City, look at this army. It's 83 army supply to 26. Alkin, you have 5 bases, but you don't have an army.
Yeah, he really wasn't mining a ton of gas. It was more Archons versus less Archons. It was a +2 timing versus +1, and it was a bad concave. He was fighting up the ramp. All of those things go together, means that Alkin will fall, and it's not even a question. We don't have to worry about ties anymore. City guarantees the 3-1 week victory, the final week victory for Bill. Power not underwhelming in the slightest. No. And now that means they joined the deadlock for 2nd place. It's them and like everyone else.
Yep. So going up 5-3, they are now tied with Alpha Stars. And then any of the other teams that from 4-3 that win, and if Michigan RTS have lost, they're also 5-3. There is a massive tie for 2nd place, which could make it for really exciting next week if they decide to do tiebreakers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens. But for now, this is the end of championship week of the winter season of the, or I guess technically, sorry, spring season. It is spring now, of the 2025 corporate season for the StarCraft 2 Corporate Esports Association. We already talked about the fact that Alexa 12 pool kind of dumpstered everyone. They're 7-0 right now. We'll see if they go to 8-0. Who knows? They're playing RIT Orange. So RIT, we talked about this crazy tiebreaker for 2nd. RIT having to play Alexa 12 pool makes that's going to be a difficult matchup to see if they can kind of move up to 2nd. But the Blue Flame Hellions, who are they playing? They are playing Michigan.
So that is a massive game as well.
That's another one where if Blue Flame takes down Michigan, it's a 4-team tie for 2nd place.
That is so beautiful. I love it so much. And yeah, obviously, it feels bad for RIT Orange. You get the top seeded team here at the end. But if they pull out a win, it's a 5-way.
Please.
Still probably not very likely, but I think a 5-way tie would possibly be the most entertaining thing to happen here.
Yeah, no, we have the admin in chat. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to see how these other matches work out to do the math on tiebreakers to figure those out. So that's where it gets fun. It's like you sit there, you're like, well, if he wins, if he gets 2 maps, then he moves up to the upper bracket finals. But if he doesn't, I have made a fool of myself on many broadcasts by not being able to math on stream. It is always a mistake. Luckily, Titan on Fire, we have our illustrious admin to do it once this broadcast is over. So, final score of this setup here of our final day. Build Power underwhelming 3. It's gonna be Google Alpha Stars at 2. Titan, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think that Bill Power underwhelming. They really took advantage of the fact that they had that matchup. Essentially, Google Alpha Stars needing one more win, and I think if there's any takeaway, City is pretty good. I think City played absolutely really well at knowing what his strengths were in each game and taking advantage of that. That last timing in that PvP, he just, I have 2-2, clicked on his opponent's units, saw they had 1-1, and said, I have more stuff than you. I'm just going to go kill you. There was really confident play from them, and that's absolutely what you want to see in a team that's trying to get to that 2nd place position.
That it was. So there's the end of our broadcast here today. Again, congratulations for Alexa 12 Pool for taking the entire season. Of course, congratulations to Bill Power Underwhelming for making our admins do a lot of tiebreaker work later today. Thank you so much for that one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you when we see you. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.